In today's video, I'm going to go over 3 ways you can add depth to your website with Astra and Elementor. So the first way I'll show you is in the Astra Customizer here. And what I like to do on my websites, and I think it's done by default in Astra, is to head to Layout, Header, I'll head to Primary Header, and I can look at these bottom border settings. So the bottom border is what's going to appear in between the header and the content. I'll make this red so we can see exactly what I'm talking about right there. And if it's set to 1 pixel by default, and what I like to do is leave it at 1 pixel or maybe move it to 2. And then what you can do is give it a little bit of a darker color. If you maybe have a white header, what I like to do is get a gray color and maybe go a little bit darker. And this way, it kind of creates a little bit of a distinction between the header and the content, which gives it a little more of a feeling of depth there. With the header there, like a little space between the header and the content. So that's one way there, is adding a border in there. And if you have an above or below header section, just separating those with like a 1 pixel border to make a little separation is something I like to do to add some depth. And the second way we'll go into is in Elementor. So in order to launch the Elementor builder, what I'll want to do is head to Edit Page on, this is currently my home page, and then I can launch the Elementor builder right there. I already have this open in a new tab, so I'll jump over here. And the second way that I like to add some depth is to head into the background settings on my section. So as you can see here, I have a background photo on this section here, and you can find the background settings by heading to Edit Section by clicking these 6 dots right here, and head to Style, and then Background. And I can see I have an image in here already. But one thing I like to do is make some images fixed. So by making it fixed, it makes it so when I scroll on the page, the image will stay in place. As you saw before, if I have it on scroll, the image just kind of stays there, and that kind of makes it feel a little flat. So by creating this scroll effect here, it gives it a little more depth. So that's tip number 2 I like to do in Elementor for creating some depth. And the third way would be to add a box over the content. I'll head back to the customizer here. You can see I have this gray box here to kind of create a separation between the background and the foreground when I have the scroll effect going. And how you can create that effect is by heading to the section settings, by heading there, and I can head to layout. And from here, I'll want to go to content width, and I'll do boxed. And as you can see there, it made my column here conform to the size of this box. And what I can do is give the column a background, and I'll want to head to the column settings by clicking on that icon there, and I'll head to background, and I can give it a color. What I'll do is just give it the gray color, and I'll want to change the opacity on that. So let's see, we'll make it a little bit lighter here. And you can see it's kind of coming together. But one thing we'll want to do is make sure that it kind of separates, so it's kind of floating out there. And what I'll do to get that effect is head to the column settings. I'll want to head to advanced, and I believe it would be under a margin here. We'll want to unlink those values, and what I'll do is maybe give it 100 from the left, 100 padding from the right, and then 50 from the bottom there, and then 50 from the top. And this way I have my kind of floating background panel right here that kind of gives me even more separation from the foreground and the background. And I'll click update on that. And that about wraps it up. So those are the 3 tips I like to use on sites for adding some depth to pages, adding some borders for various sections, like on the bottom of my header, like 1 pixel, that are a little bit darker, creating fixed image effects with Elementor, very easy with the background settings, and then also using those boxes, so those light opacity boxes over images to kind of create that separation between the foreground and the background. This has been Will Middleton from WPCourseGuide.com. Feel free to suggest any videos you want to see me do in the future down in the comments below. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one.